Welcome to the Waterloo City Council work session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bozen,
Here.
Mr. Nichols, Ms. Creighton-Smith, Mr. Childs, Mr. Simon,
Here.
Ms. Wilder, Mr. Foyce.
Here. Motion, please, for the agenda.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as proposed or amended, and also approval of the minutes of November 17th, 2025 council work session as proposed or amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have, I said aye, sorry. I have to. We have an agenda, and on our agenda, we have a presentation from the sanitation department. Welcome.
Hello. I'm Scott Brunson, the sanitation director for the city. Just came here to do our annual budget review here, and do our annual review so you guys can see where we're at and what we're doing lately. So, the first thing I want to talk about is just our organizational structure. Obviously, it's the division manager is my superior, then me, and then I have an administrative secretary and 13 solid waste technicians also. Our overview of duties, there's quite a wide variety that we do here. Mostly we do the curbside collection for about 23,700 households for garbage, plus we also do the yard waste, curbside collection for Christmas trees, the yard waste compost site, illegal dumps, code enforcements, among just a few things, coordinating 13 neighborhood cleanups and a citywide cleanup. The main thing I wanted to talk about today is just our initiative that we're really pushing hard on right now is just to make sure, trying to push a clean city initiative is what we're calling it. It's mainly got to do with stopping the litter and debris from blowing around the city. We've had some problems with illegal dumping and stuff, of course. A lot of this has got to be addressed by, we feel, going to the core of the problem, which a lot of that is people's garbage carts being overloaded, stuff blowing out from there, pest, vermin getting into them, plus also the commercial businesses, especially in high wind areas like Crossroads, Airline Highway. It just allows for a lot of debris to blow around the city, causing for a problem where the city just looks unclean, where in fact we're doing everything we can to fight that image. So the first thing we're doing is just doing the making sure people have their lids closed. We want to make sure people are utilizing the right carts and making sure they've got the right size that they need for the amount of garbage that they're throwing away. For instance, not throwing away a large amount of garbage into a medium cart and having it overloaded, and just upgrading to the large cart so we can close the lid, keep the vermin, rainwater, everything else out of the carts. Because of course, with the lids open, with rain getting into them, that affects the landfill fee also as the water accumulates into the cart. So it makes the garbage heavier, more expensive to get rid of. We're also doing the same thing for the dumpsters in commercial properties. So especially in the high profile areas such as Crossroads and like I mentioned, what we're doing is we're enforcing an ordinance that's already in place of having the lids secured, as opposed to making all the older facilities put in corrals. The biggest problem to do this, and the biggest solution to fix this, is to make sure the lids are closed in a locking spot all the time. So when they're only open when they're being dumped or when people are putting refuse into them, and then they relock them afterwards. We feel this is going to save a lot of the debris from blowing around in those areas. Acceptable locking systems, there are quite a few different ones that commercial companies can use. They can use everything from chains, bungee straps, lock bars, swivel bars, gravity bars. There's lots of different choices residents can use, or the people can use of those commercial entities. It's their choice of what they want to operate and use. Some are easier than others. But we're also going to do the same thing on our city dumpsters also. A lot of them need to be brought in and be reworked, but that's a process we've already started. One thing I wanted to talk about here today, especially, is the recycling issues that we're continuing to have here. So As you can see, in the last year, the recycling values have been good. I'm kind of showing you on the graph there, but you can see recycling is kind of like a roller coaster ride. It's going to go, the value goes up. It's great. It covers up a lot of the costs that we have in the collection of that. But unfortunately, right now we're on that downwards spiral. And unfortunately, the way it works is it usually stays down longer than it stays up. It's just the way the brokers flood the system with their product. So when the value's high, they ship a lot of product out to the recyclers. Then it drives the value down, and it stays down usually for a while. So this, of course, raises the cost on here. So what we're looking at probably in the next council meeting, we'll probably be looking at increasing the yard waste maintenance fee from $5 to $6, just to help curb this additional cost. We fought through it without an increase during the worst pandemic in our history that I remember anyway. But it's definitely something that's needed with the cost of recycling driving up considerably compared to what we're collecting in. The initiative we put on here is very imperative. It's imperative that you're probably going to get calls from residents that are complaining about lids being closed, that sort of thing, because in the past, they've allowed it considerably, and it's something we're trying to curb here going forward. Going forward, unfortunately, we can't just rip the Band-Aid off and do it all at once, because it would just cause a massive disruption in service to where we wouldn't be able to contend with the amount of call-ins. So what we're doing is doing this in sections of town at a time, trying to get it under control, moving to the next section. So there may be some people that complain and say, well, I see this overloaded cart gets dumped, but mine doesn't. So what they're doing is they're kind of using their judgment to where if it's extremely overloaded, we can't dump it safely without spilling the contents. Those are the ones we're attacking first. And then once we get it down, eventually we're going to get to the point where we want lids closed all the way. It's a work in progress. It's going to take a few months for us to get to that point, but we are in progress. It's working out. We're doing a lot better than we'd had in the past. So one of the things I wanted to say is how do we stay informed? The Waterloo Wire app is one of the things that we really want to push going forward to residents. During this time of year, we do see a big uptick in the amount of people that sign up for the app. This is the second year we've had that app going, and just to give you guys some numbers, so just in the last month, just in November, we had 518 new people sign up for it with their addresses. That's up 267 addresses from the month before. They viewed the schedule over 15,000 times. That's up almost 5,000 times from last month. So that's one thing we really want to push. It's our direct connection to every resident in the city. So if we have any problems like we did on Wednesday with the landfill closing, and we run our trucks and fill them up and we run as much as we can, we did come up about a route and a half short. I had every truck packed to the gills, but I just couldn't squeeze any more on. So we had to carry those over to Friday, finish the routes on Friday, but I was able to actually segregate just that route and a half and send those people notifications to let them know that your pickup's being delayed from Wednesday to Friday, rather than having to send out a bulletin across Facebook and across press releases that would just confuse a lot of the residents. So we did do it on Facebook just because it was really short notice, but a press release would be really tough to get out in time for those people not to get even more confused. So that's one thing we stress every time a resident calls to us. Cart deliveries, we've currently got cart deliveries up to date. As you can see, there's only about 20 of them there that need to be done, which is roughly about a day and a half worth of work for somebody. So we're not behind. We're telling people roughly about a week just because of the situation we're in with the staff that we have and trying to keep up with, holiday routes and that sort of thing. But we can usually get carts out within a week to 2 weeks max. Code enforcements, this is where we've fell a little bit behind. This is a map showing what our current code enforcements are like. The red dots that you see are big code enforcements. Those require a team to go out there. They're not going to be able to be done with just 1 or 2 people. I probably need more like 6 to 7 people to do them. So it's going to be on days where I have very minimal routes, which now with yard waste season completed, we'll be able to concentrate a lot more people on these. Even through the snow, we can still get a lot of this stuff picked up. It's just the littered pickups are going to be tough to see until the snow fades a little bit. We are currently also working on an elements update. I've been working close with Ben and IT, trying to work out a way for our code enforcements and illegal dumps to integrate with elements. In the past, we weren't able to because the way we set it up is the locations are the houses and the assets are the carts. Well, you can't map the facilities at the current time. So, but now working with Ben yesterday, we are able to do that so we can actually map these out and get them done a lot quicker, where I can get them on a tablet for a crew to go out and they can actually just go right to the places they need to go, get them done. They don't have to call in. I don't have to explain it over the phone where to go. They can just, I can assign it right to them and they can get it done. So that's just being in its final stages, being tweaked right now. So that's definitely an improvement that will help us speed up with code enforcements. Just some statistics for our collection. Our curbside garbage collection is down from 19,000 tons. Yeah. Down from 19,163 tons from the fiscal year ending 24. So we're actually down 111 tons at this time from the previous year. The recycling has actually increased 95.8 tons. So this is another reason why we're kind of pushing for that maintenance fee, that dollar upgrade is the recycling. It's a great thing for the community. It's a great thing for the earth. It's just a great thing for the community all around. The problem is it does come with a cost. To landfill, the same product costs about $43 a ton. To recycle it is closer to $160 right now, $160 a ton. So it's quite a bit more to process it and get it taken care of. But it's definitely something we want to continue of. The steel, I didn't have any previous year record of it because I just started keeping track of that. It's something that goes to a different vendor altogether. So, but I can tell you we're at just about 41 tons of steel we've recycled this fiscal year so far. And then tires collected, we're actually down from 48 tons to 33.88 tons, that's a good sign, honestly, because the cost per ton for tires is going up slowly. But it seems to be with the illegal dumps, even with the amount that we're bringing in, it's not as much as in years past. And that's what I got for you today. Any questions?
Questions, Council?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for doing your neighborhood cleanups, because they are really important to neighborhood associations, and we use it every year. Now, for almost a year now, we've been saying we weren't going to pick up carts that were overflowing, but yet now we're still working on a program to phase in this. How many areas are you guys in right now that you've dealt with the overflowing cans and not picking them up?
Well, we've attacked every single area pretty much so far. It's just we're getting them. At first, we're getting drastically overflowing carts. We're not picking those up anymore. Those people get skipped and they're coming down. But we're still in the works with people that, like, for instance, if they have their lid up in like 6 inches, those are the ones we're dealing with. Is trying to get in, just trying to talk to them and get their lids down. We usually give them like a warning first of all. We'll just tag the cart and just say your cart's overloaded. We dumped it this time, but the next time it won't be dumped. So we've got some special cards that we actually hang on for those.
I was gonna say, because I've got a vacation rental just down the street, and when they rent for a big group, there's stuff blowing down the street, and because their cart's hanging all the way open. But when are you going to start enforcing the overflowing or the dumpster locks?
We're actually going to probably start enforcing it. We're meeting with Maria and Marty here soon.
You guys, because you guys presented that to us over 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it kind of got pushed to a back burner for a short time. It's being re-brought to the front here, so that should be a definite issue we're addressing here in the very near future.
So on that, do you expect any blowback from vendors that are picking these carts up if we're only enforcing the Crossroads area and Airline Highway area and not enforcing the rest of the town? I don't know how we can have an ordinance in place and not enforce it equally across town.
Yeah. Randy Bennett, Public Works Division Manager. So kind of like what we did when we initially rolled out Routeware with the carts, it's a work in progress. The thing with it is when we talk about swapping out the carts, I'll talk to the carts first and I'll kind of go into the containers. When we're doing it, we had some individuals that the carts were way overloaded. So we kind of focused on the areas and we're doing that. We're kind of just doing a little bit at a time because it does take us some time to go and swap out the carts when they didn't need to do that. If we try to hit everybody at once, we'd get overloaded and we would fail.
I understand that.
So when we talk about how long it takes us, like Scott said, it's a work in progress and it's taking us time. But we are getting to the point where it's no longer grossly overloaded. We're getting them closer. Some areas are worse than others. Like I said, it's kind of a work in progress. What we've done with the vendors is we worked with them several months back where we kind of told them, we brought them into Public Works, we talked to them. We told them kind of like same thing what we did. It's like a grace period. It takes time for them to acquire whatever they are doing for their locking mechanisms to put on. And we, like Scott said, we didn't stipulate which one. That's why we said you can pick whatever. Some of them you can buy them that way. Some of them they actually had to buy chains or the locking mechanisms to put on them. But what we did when we did talk to them is we wanted to systematically go after the worst areas first. The Crossroads area is one of our worst areas that we've had multiple complaints on. That's why we kind of picked that. Airline Highway was the second area. So as we do that, then we'll just keep working into other areas. So we're trying to work with them to hit those, but once again, we know that they can't hit everywhere at once, and just like we can't enforce it all at once. So it's kind of like the same thing with our carts. So it is kind of baby steps, and that's kind of working with it. We do want to work with them to train people just to start doing it the right way. But if, just like we did with the carts, we're finally going to get to a point where, okay, if they're not doing it, then it's going to be an action-reaction. But what we really are just trying to do is curb them to do it the right way.
Well, because the reason I ask is about pushback is that it's a lot more labor intensive when that driver of that truck's got to get out of that truck, unlock that dumpster, and then dump it, and then get back out of the truck and lock it back up.
It is. We knew that. We knew that.
I'm talking about for the vendors.
Yeah, for the vendors.
Okay.
And there are some containers that they actually have a mechanism on them can unlock, but where they're doing the change or depends on what, because this is a cost on their part that's kind of going through where it does take a little bit more time on their part, and we realize that.
So you're looking at raising the yard waste fee $1 a month.
The recycling yard waste. Yep.
Okay, so
In which we haven't had a rate increase since 19, so
how many households is that affecting?
that'll affect all 23 plus 1,000 accounts we have.
So you're looking at $300,000 more a year somewhere in that neighborhood that we're assessing on to the homeowners or the property owners. To make up, how much are we losing in recycling?
Well, like I said, it's an ebb and flow.
Well, I
So it's-
understand that, but
yeah.
I'm saying if we're raising it $300,000 or $280,000,
200 something, yeah. Like I said, we haven't had a rate increase since 19, so I want to be very specific on that. Zero increase
I'm just
since
trying to
then.
do the math.
So
and
when you
see-
start looking at, wages going up, fuel's gone up, carts, everything that we have, all our expenses have gone up. But through the efficiencies on where we've become more efficient as far as individuals, as far as making sure that they're using the right size carts, paying for the services that they were providing, we've been able to do that. But unfortunately, it's been so long, we're to the point now, plus sanitation doesn't just fund that department, it
Well, I
also
understand that.
funds.
I'm just trying to
animal
do I'm
control.
just trying to do the math, Randy,
Yeah.
on if we're going to raise it to every property owner to generate $280,000 more a year, are we losing $288,000 because of the recycling and everything else we're doing?
I wouldn't say that we're losing quite that much, but, with looking at raises and just other expenses going up. We want to make sure that we're not losing more money than what we're bringing in.
I think people are confused though when they think when they recycle that everything gets recycled. There's a large portion of the stuff that we put in our recycle bins that ends up in a landfill somewhere.
And when we originally talked about that, when we switched doing the curbside, the one thing that we did say to, and I was very clear, we want to take all the recyclable materials that we can, but there are some point in time when the market has no outlet. So the vendors that we work with, we want to see it cradle to grave, or processing, I should say, is probably, until it's processed. But there are some point in times that if they don't have an outlet for it, and then they eventually have to, I'm not going to say that sometimes it doesn't go to the landfill, but then when the market comes back and they have an outlet, then they'll end up doing that.
Okay.
So, but that's why we do what we do. We want to divert as much as we can. We don't want it to go to landfill. I mean, that's ultimately what we don't want to happen. But unfortunately, sometimes when our outlets, our partners if they don't have an outlet, but does that mean that we want to stop collecting it? No, we still do, just for when that comes in.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem. Scott, I believe you can answer this. On the slide that was on there earlier, it said there was 23,000 garbage containers, but there was only 11-some thousand recycle. So is this dollar extra for just the recycle bins, or is it for all garbage cans?
This would be for every household.
Regardless if they have a recycle, regardless if they have a recycle bin.
The maintenance fee covers not only just it doesn't cover for the curbside recycling. What this covers is the central recycling sites and the yard waste compost facility.
Okay. And then another really simple question. With the drastic wind that we've had before, do you guys still pick up the garbage containers if the lid has been blown open, even if it's not overflowing?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, we do realize that we have a little bit of consideration for residents. We realize that high wind days are going to cause problems like that. So my guys, I've instructed them not to be ruthless when it comes to that. Like there are things that are just out of a person's control.
Sure. I mean, you see some that they're not overflowing, but the lid is not heavy enough to stay down during 20-plus mile an hour wind. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that it was still going to get picked up if the wind happened to.
And like on the heavy wind days, like on Wednesday, even if the containers are knocked over, my guys are instructed to first thing in the morning to actually get out and set the carts up. They get out and set them up, put the garbage back in them, and dump them until people wake up. It could be about 7, 8 o'clock, and then people can realize that their garbage cans are knocked over, and then they can get out and do it themselves. But for the most part, we try to pick up everything we can, even if it's knocked over in the beginning.
And so the people that are using the app, a separate question, you said it's up 518 this last month, up from 100, 200 and some the night. What percentage of our population containers are actually using the app? Do you have that number?
I actually don't. For some reason, with Recollect, they do not keep track of that. But that's definitely something I can get back to you on.
Okay.
I'll get you the information.
I was just curious how we've ramped up over the time to see what percentage we're at and when we're going to reach.
Yeah, they keep
Hopefully
track
reach
of
everybody.
they keep track of like unique changes. So like they don't tell me what the total addresses are. They just tell me the new ones that come on.
Okay.
So like for instance, the report I get tells me there's 518 new unique addresses in the Recollect app. It just doesn't provide me a total of how many's in there.
You'd probably have to manually go back and look and see every
Right,
month
I have
that's
to go in
been
and
added.
manually look at it.
Okay. And then last thing, if I may, can you give me an example of the large jobs that you posted on there for the red dots give me an example of what's going on in the city that you would require 6, 7 people to fix?
Well, some of the properties, I don't have any photos of them here, obviously, but some of the properties, for instance, like we did one over on, I believe it was Wellington. It was like over somewhere on Wellington in the 900 block. There was a house where the entire backyard is filled with garbage and debris, about 3 feet deep, the entire yard. So that's something where if I send a crew over with 2 guys and a rear loader, they'll be over there for several days. I can usually send over a crew of 4, 5, 6 guys and bring a loader, bring some dump trucks and a rear loader, and we can knock it out usually in just a few hours. It just saves a lot of time, energy, and it's a lot of abuse on the,
So
on
we've
the
already
guys
reached
trying
a
to lift
point.
that much weight.
So at that point, you've already reached a point where the city said, we're going in and cleaning this up. So this is already something that's been
All
going
of
on.
those have that already.
Okay, perfect. That's what
Yeah,
I was
all of
curious.
those that you saw on there are, those are actually given to us by code enforcement saying these are ones that need to be cleaned up. So the green ones are small. I can send a couple guys in a rear loader over there, get them knocked out relatively quickly.
Okay.
The bigger ones with the red dots, the few that you saw on there, those are ones that's gonna require a big crew and equipment. So, those are a little bit tougher to get done, but we certainly work at them. They just take a little bit longer.
All right, well, thanks for all the question answered there. Appreciate your work.
Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, so regarding the recycling outlet partners, have we been working with the same partners for quite some time, or are there opportunities, conferences, or anything to try to build new relationships with new outlet partners?
Right. So we've been working with the current partner, Republic Services, since 2019. We're currently under contract with them until the end of next year. At that point, the options around town are a little limited. The reason we pay so much for recycling, I can tell you, a lot of it is we don't have a full sort facility to take that material to. So it goes to Republic, they bale it, take it down to their Cedar Rapids branch, and then they break the bales and process it there. So that's one of the reasons why we pay so much for the recycling to be done. But there really isn't other options that I think the city would want to use that other than that. So depending on what hauler we choose, it's pretty much going to go to the same facility and do the same thing. So no matter which hauler we choose, they're going to end up going to the same facility to have it processed and hauled down to Cedar Rapids at this point until other options are available.
Would it ever be financially beneficial to be in a situation where we're working with multiple partners, or is that just something, it's just not possible in our?
Well, we currently do work with two different vendors to do this. So Republic does like the curbside collection, but Right Environmental is our current vendor that does the central recycling sites that hauls it to Republic. So there's two different vendors that are actually helping us with this process right now currently.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Randy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Motion, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. The Waterloo City Council Finance Meeting, roll call, please.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Childs?
Here.
Mr. Foyce?
Here.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as proposed, as well as approve the minutes of November 17th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First up, travel requests.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the following travel request. Travel request by Sergeant Sad and Officers Harrington, Blackburn, Castrella, Payne, Williams, and Costello and Dizer for NAFTO, FTO School Basic for Cedar Falls, Iowa for December 8th to the 10th for $3,000. Sergeant Choppard and Holscher for NTOA Supervising Panel Critical Incident and Waukee December 10th to 11th for $1,208. Traffic Operation, Safia Alahi, Tina Shellhorn, Craig Hinsman, and Scott, I don't want to mispronounce that, Scott, what is it, Buchan, thank you, for the Mobile Trex Users Group Controller Training in Davenport from December 10th to 11th for amount not to exceed 800, and Bridget Wood, Director of Finance, for Best Practices in Debt Insurance and Management webinar for December 9th to 11th, amount not to exceed $475.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following pre-auths to expend over $2,500. First is building department in the amount of $16,292, and that's for the replacement of damaged door at the convention center. Next is for Central Garage, amount $5,393.37 plus $500 shipping and handling, and the expenditure is replacement of a drive motor O ring on sweeper number 191518. Next is for fire in the amount of $301,401, and that's for expenditure of 2025 Ford F550 Lifeline ambulance. Next is for fire in the amount of $69,220.23, and that's for expenditure to purchase and install access security cameras outside all fire stations, amended to add labor to install. Next is for leisure services in the amount of $3,091.12, and that's for the expenditure of 7 8-foot tables and 8 6-foot tables for the Sportsplex. Next is for leisure services in the amount of $3,180 plus $150 shipping and handling, and that's for the expenditure of 50 banquet stacking chairs for the Sportsplex. Next is for MIS department in the amount of $16,835.04 plus $5 shipping and handling, and that's for the expenditure of 3 48-port HPE network switches, 1 24-port HPE network switch, and 4 power supplies. Next is for police in the amount of $3,216.97. That's for your expenditure of annual Adobe Pro CDWG software renewal. Next is for police in the amount of $9,684.55, and that's for the expenditure of Laserfish software renewal. Next is for police in the amount of $14,363.20. That's for the expenditure of Insight VMware annual software renewal. Next is for street department in the amount of $52,952.44 plus $500 shipping and handling, and that's for expenditure of fabrication of 4 brine tank structures to replace rusted structures. Next is for MIS department in the amount of $38,425.12. That's for the expenditure of replacement access cameras for the Sportsplex. Next, and that is it?
That is it? That's okay. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Budget line items to be amended. First is to approve the budget amendment to increase advertising expense line and increase miscellaneous revenue line in the amount of $25,000 for the awarded hotel motel tax grant as submitted by the Culture and Arts Department. To approve the project budget for the fiscal year 2026 Federal Violence Against Women grant in the amount of $36,113 to be used for the Domestic Abuse Response Officer as submitted by the Police Department. To approve the project budget for the Highway Safety Fund grant funded with federal funds awarded through the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau in the amount of $101,000 as submitted by the Police Department.
Second.
We have motion second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And for bills payment for the November 24th, 2025, that amount is $6,208,048.85. And for December 1st, that amount is $7,345,187.66. Make a motion to receive, file, and forward to the full council.
Second.
Motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to
Motion
ad-
carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?